This is Nomi, and this is the fourth video in my leadership series. We all want to be the leaders of our life. To be able to do that, we need to be dedicated to actually becoming the leader of our life and leaders in general. Last time I spoke to you about the human potential map that I have designed. Obviously, if you want to be a leader, you want to optimize your potential. That map is a very important map to achieve, to look forward to achieve. Take a look at the details if you have not looked at it. Today, we are talking about our current map, which is different from our optimal. The whole process of self-transformation is all about taking ourselves from our current map to our optimal map. When people are dedicated to it, they actually go step by step to reach that. Even if they never absolutely reach that, the journey is what matters. Potentially, we have all three aspects of ourselves: our emotional self, our defensive self, and our expanded self work together in harmony under the leadership of the expanded self. The energy is strong, bright, open, expressive, and as a result of that, all the gates, which are the 7 areas of life, are open, vibrant. In the current map, things look a little different. I have worked for the last 26 years with hundreds of people. What I saw as a result of looking at many people's map, 2 elements repeat themselves in 95% of the people. And I want to talk to you about those 2 elements because I am sure they're showing up in your current map. The first and the most important element in your current map is most people lead their life from their defensive self, not from their expanded self. Your defensive self is the part of you, one of the 3 aspects, the part of you that is very concerned about your survival. It's where all your defensive structure lives, all your defensive behavior. This part is created very early in life. Our emotional self is very sensitive, it's emotional, and it gets bruised by life, by parents, by siblings, by teachers, by life. And at a very early age, we start cultivating our defensive structure in order to protect our emotional and physical well-being. And that structure depends on the severity of the bruising in the emotional self. We maintain this leadership from a defensive place throughout our life. People have all kinds of creative defensive structures that they've created for themselves to protect themselves. There are people who are perfectionists, excellers. They have to be good at everything. They must be perfect. That's a defensive way of being. There are people who are caretaking others. They are going to help. They are going to do anything to take care of the people around them, many times at the expense of their own well-being. The caretakers. There are people who are charmers, jokesters. People who are always on, who are always full of smiles. That's a defensive structure. There are people who are isolators. They're shut down. They live in a very lonely place, and they don't let anybody actually know who they are. And there are people who are aggressors, dominators, controllers. So as you can see, there is a variety of ways to protect ourselves, and most of us have a main characteristic with some tinges of other elements. Okay, so we got bruised. We cultivated this very intricate structure of a defensive self, and we survived and continued. Now, you can say, what's the problem with that? It's good. I mean, I've survived and I'm doing well. What is not so good about that is that when you are led from a defensive place, you're always tight and uptight, anxious on some level, even if you don't feel it in the daily, in your daily life. There is a tightness. There is a certain kind of concern, fear, worry about your survival, even if your survival is not threatened in any shape or form. It doesn't let your emotional self be free, expressive, joyful, creative, silly, loving, all the things that your emotional self wants to be. And it tightens on your expanded self. It doesn't let your expanded self be the visionary and the spiritual leader of your life. So this defensive self is a little bit like a tyrant, and what that does, it constricts your inner being. And when that happens, all your gates, all these 7 areas of life are affected. When you're tight and uptight, it's going to show in your body. It's going to show in the gate of emotions. It's going to show in your relationships, because you're not free to relate. It's going to show in your creative expression. You're not free. You're not letting yourself be totally free because you're watching, you're guarding. You're not going to be as effective on your life path, which is walking towards the fulfillment of your purpose in life. And you're not going to be good in the gate of silence. You won't be able to have a meditative mind. And the gate of knowledge gets tainted too. So all these areas of life get affected. This is why in this work that I do with people, we need to learn to shift the positions. Instead of having the defensive self be at the top of the pyramid, we need to learn to bring the expanded self and make that part of us the leader, which is not easy at all. We're very used to our defensive self. It has protected us all this time, and we're very attached to it. So that shift is not easy. I will talk about that a little more. How do we, in this work, Gates of Power, how do we do it? What are the processes, the exercises that help us make that shift? Without that, you are not really a leader of your life. You're in survival mode. You're not thriving. So subscribe and listen to the next one, which will explain a lot more about that.